I think that's what's interesting about these painters, is that we can't ever quite know what their story was. George, it's a great pleasure to be back at Sotheby's. Thank you for having me. Now, perhaps somewhat inappropriately, here we are, two men, and we're going to be talking about two great women artists who have created two of the great highlights of this summer Old Master sale. Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, it's not so difficult because both these artists, Clara Peeters and Artemisia Gentileschi, were truly great painters in their own day. Clara Peeters was one of the greatest still life painters of the 17th century, and Artemisia Gentileschi stands the test of time as a great Italian Baroque painter. So we don't have to make a case for them being great artists because they are women artists. They are women artists who also happen to be truly great painters.
Absolutely. There's an increasing interest and an increasing readiness to acknowledge and bring out these great female artists from the past. I mean, I have a good friend who collects nothing but the work of women artists and finds the most remarkable things. And the more you find, and Artemisia is a good case of this, the more works you find, the easier it is to see how extraordinary her story was and how she sort of propelled herself to stardom in the most unlikely way in a number of different cities, Rome, Florence, and then London.
Artemisia, at her very best, a mature painter. She had escaped from the shadow of her father, Orazio, also a superb painter. We can compare the two of them, and Artemisia stands up as good a post-Caravagesque painter in Europe as any other. And she rose to the challenge here. It's a vertical picture, it's a powerful picture. Your eyes drawn to that huge sword, much bigger than the figure of David, and then the head of Goliath is right down at the bottom where he belongs.
It's utterly distinctive. It's not like a Caravaggio, it's not like a Fetti, it's not like an Orazio Gentileschi. It could only have been painted by her. It's Artemisia again appearing as the hero or the heroine of her painting, this time as David. But it's also, for me, deeply melancholic. She hasn't got this sort of the hubris of the young David who's just killed Goliath and is exuberant in his victory. There's a death that's occurred. It was a necessary death, but there's a kind of regret. There's almost this feeling that the figure who's done the killing has crossed a certain threshold, will never be innocent again. I can't think of another picture like it. I find it deeply, deeply moving. One of the things I love about it from a just purely technical point of view is the way that she's painted the drapery, which seems to me to be so similar to the drapery in Caravaggio's self-portrait as Goliath. You see the same drapery there, and of course Artemisia would have been quite likely one of the very few people ever to see Caravaggio painting a picture. She may well have gone as a little girl with her dad, Orazio, and actually been in the room. And I get a little shiver down my spine when I see that detail in this wonderful picture. It's a really magical painting. We should talk about Clara Peeters. Artemisia is such a star, she often sort of somehow draws the limelight. But this Clara Peeters is really something, isn't it? Do you think it's a self-portrait?
I think it is self-referential. She is portraying this figure as an emblem of vanity, and I think she intends for us to see it as her, beautifully dressed, covered in jewellery, looking rather cross, which I think actually rather goes well with the Vanitas theme.
It's interesting the way in which Clara Peeters has almost depicted herself. Do you feel as if she's just another object? It's not a portrait in the sense that she takes a great deal of interest in expression or character or the attempt to really catch a likeness. It's almost as if that's part of the Vanitas message. We are all just the same as these other objects, all destined for death and putrefaction and an end to all things.
Exactly. The female figure, which I think refers to herself, is an object in a still life painting, painted with that static, permanent appearance.
Do you think that there's a little bit of a sort of wry smile going on in the painting that is we're not entirely meant to see it as all gloom and doom and vanity, that she's having a little game with the idea of it, inhabiting the figure of vanity as if to say perhaps, She doesn't really believe that she is that vain, or there might be some other element to it.
Absolutely. And we have clear evidence that she had a sense of humour, a sense of fun, was mischievous, and liked to confuse her public, her viewers.
I wonder if it's not almost as if she's saying to us, well, if I really were vain, would I portray myself in the persona of vanity? So she's really there's almost this hide and seek. Where is the real Clara Peeters? Is she this vain woman that we see before us, or is she the person who painted it, who's not vain? I feel like I don't quite know where I am. I'm in a hall of mirrors. She's beguiling me.
You can see in this painting that she's not just content with painting still life.
No, I mean, it's a narrative work of art, isn't it? She's pioneering still life painting, but in the very act of doing that, she's reaching higher, to higher genres, as if to imply perhaps, well, next stop history painting, if I'm allowed, or if I can. But I think that's what's interesting about these painters is that we can't ever quite know what their story was. There's no biography of her, we know very little really about Clara Peeters. Artemisia we know a great deal more about because of her tempestuous story and her connection to these very famous individuals, and the fact that there's journals and men fell in love with her and left letters and so on and so forth. But with Clara Peeters, it's really like, where is she?
There haven't been many occasions in which you could see either of these. The Artemisia is a discovery. It was lost until very recently. And the Clara Peeters was hidden from you in private collections.
It's a rare and wonderful thing to be able to see them both in the same room, on the same day at the same time too. It seems to me a fabulous thing to have happened, and we look forward to the sale. Thank you, George.
Thank you, Andrew.